Houston 7-4. And guess who joined the Thursday Night Football post-game set? The son of Sabrina Nuke the bomb after 2 touchdowns. Take it away.
I'm not the fastest, but, I make things happen. But Will is a speedster, man. And, the combination between Will and myself, I don't feel like, many secondaries can match up well against that. Will is a great guy, coming back from an injury like he has. He wanted to be out there on the field the other weeks. But, he came out today and showed a lot about just who he is as a person. But
and
I think
playing hurt.
Basically he played hurt, man. He wasn't 100% today.
The way he was running by people.
Right.
So jealous of Willie and Colleen there, but the Texans did show who they are, and they are in sole possession of first place in the AFC South at 7-4. The Colts now 6-5, putting them outside the playoff picture. They're 7th in the AFC. We talked about how T.Y. Hilton has made NRG Stadium, Houston, his second home. He has real estate. He's the mayor. A lot of jokes. But how about the way DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller defended their home turf, Nate?
It was incredible. Before the season started, I remember doing a Los Angeles Rams, Houston, Texas preseason game. And I ran into Bill O'Brien while he was eating breakfast because I had to do the team cam for the show that morning after the game. And the first question I wanted to ask is, how was Jadeveon Clowney? And it was such a hot topic that I stayed away from it. So instead of that, I walked up to Bill O'Brien. I said, hey, what's up, man? What you eating? Small talk, right? They didn't want to jump right in with the football questions. And I said, what's up with my guy, Will Fuller? He's the biggest X factor in the league. If he can stay healthy, I would love for this individual to be one of those guys that really shoots on the scene. And he responded by saying, if you think he's the biggest X factor in the league, Nate, he's the biggest X factor on our team. So, Kay, to answer your question, this team is completely different. And not only is this team different, DeAndre Hopkins is different. There's no surprise that he catches 2 touchdowns. On those 2 touchdowns, the first one, 3 guys look at Will Fuller in the slot, and he runs a pivot route, a 5-yard pivot route.
Gotta respect him.
Blow a coverage, DeAndre is wide open. On the second touchdown for DeAndre Hopkins, if you look at the safety, he is on the other side of the field. You know why? Because at some point during the week, when they were game planning for this offense, a defensive coach said to him, I need you to cheat the Will Fuller side because he's the fastest guy on the field. And what happens when you're DeAndre Hopkins? As good as you are, you're like, you know what? I'm going to torch you for that reason. And here it is. Look at the play. The safety is on the other hash. Yeah. Are you kidding me? DeAndre Hopkins is an all-pro wide receiver. Why would you do that? Because of Will Fuller. If he can stay healthy, I'll say this again, this is a completely different team, and he'll be one of those X factors that get these guys into the playoffs and maybe even Miami.
I'm kind of with you. I'm building a squad, and there's these guys who are these players who are going to determine how things go. I remember about a week ago, I was talking about Frank Clark for the Chiefs, and it's like, if they got one shot blocker on defense, the Chiefs can do things. I feel like Will Fuller is that guy. He's on the squad of like, I'm not a superstar. Maybe I'm one in making, but I'm going to determine how this thing goes. Yeah. You come away with that game last night, like, when you would watch LeBron, especially in his prime, you'd be like, why doesn't he just dribble down the court and dunk it every time? It's like, why don't they make the play and out of the black box stuff? And it's like, if you're watching the Texans, why don't they just throw deep on every play? Because when Will Fuller's out there, it starts to feel like a sort of that Mahomes, sort of Mecole, Tyreek Hill thing. Yeah. He's a huge difference maker for him. You can't overstate it enough. They look like a different offense.
DeAndre Hopkins had 38 yards in that playoff game they lost last year.
Tough game.
DeAndre Hopkins had that amazing catch 2 years ago, maybe the greatest catch we've seen in recent history, on a Saturday game, and it was in a blowout loss to the Steelers. And then another one, DeAndre Hopkins last year against the Dolphins had that one-handed, it was an offensive pass interference.
All right.
Last night, I want to see the catch again because I think the context is important. They're losing this game, and Deshaun Watson says, let's go deep to DeAndre. He's our best weapon. Let's hit him along the sidelines. It's a 2nd and 10. It's the 4th quarter.
Yep.
It's a massive play.
Here it is.
And this is the play call. Let's go to our guy when it matters.
Yeah.
You gotta realize the Colts have been bleeding the game the entire time. It's the deep pass to Hopkins.
Right.
But everyone said about how he's a chain mover. He's, Mr. First Down. Like, no, he's DeAndre Hopkins, the best hands in the league, the best catches.
Right. He has the hands, he has the catch radius. Even DeAndre, after the game, he said, I'm not the fastest guy in the world. How's that for transparency? Here you go, Peter.
This is it. 2nd and 10. They go deep. This is the play call, and DeAndre Hopkins makes an incredible highlight catch, but it also matters.
Why don't they do that more?
It mattered. That one was like, okay, that could be the season, and it was on a DeAndre deep pass. It wasn't. There's a Brandon Lloyd factor to this, where we have all these trick plays.
What does that mean?
But like, Brandon Lloyd was a great highlight receiver, and wonderful, beautiful acrobatic stuff. Cool but it was often like, I don't remember the game. DeAndre Hopkins had one in a huge game that matters, that gives it, and I love it so much for him because he deserves every moment of that.
You said it yesterday. I asked you, why does he have the lowest yards per catch of his career, 9.9? If he's this deep there, why are we looking at Julian Edelman slot receiver tape? And you said speed's an issue. So even to hear it, really think about it. Just not to say something and to generalize wide receivers, but for him to sit on the national set for the NFL Network and say, I'm not the fastest receiver, that self-awareness, that attitude he has to kind of be quiet, put his head down and work, you don't really hear that from a lot of wide receivers, that sort of self-awareness.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, you know, I said it yesterday when we were talking about it off camera. He needs help. And your response was, well, they have a good running game. And we all agree. They have a really good running game. But if you're a defense facing the Houston Texans, you'll allow the Texans offense to chip away at you in the run game. You don't want big splash plays that are deflating. Just think about those highlights. Will Fuller screaming across the field, and then DeAndre Hopkins wide open, then in the fourth quarter, down the sideline. Like, those are gut punches. So, like, getting beat by the run is like little jabs to the face. But when you get connected on the jaw with a big play by DeAndre Hopkins, it will knock you out. So the fact that Will Fuller is out there and he's taking the pressure off of DeAndre Hopkins, it's huge. The question is, one, can Will Fuller stay healthy? We're complimenting Will Fuller, but let me be critical of him.
His hamstring is not exactly...
And also, Will Fuller will get the case of the drops. And he'll have the yips where it's like, bro, you just put up 200 yards, and then the next game, you're dropping stuff that's right in the breadbasket. So he finds consistency.
That's a symbol of the team. The team, I feel like, their sole possession of the AFC South. Am I all in on the Texans right now? I don't know. Are they still the almost
Guess who
team?
they play next week?
Patriots.
The Patriots next week. So let's see what we're talking about. But that was a good win.
Sean Watson ain't scared of him.
It was a good win. I don't know.
We know that.
Ian Rappaport has more from New York. They bounce back. The Texans, they get the win. But I want to talk about the